Welcome back, history students. Now that I have fresh batteries in my microphone, we are going to pick up where we left off in the last video and look at utopian societies in American history. And the reason that we look at this in this class is because many of these societies were ahead of their times in looking at gender roles. They have progressive views of women, and that's why I put them, I say they're ahead of their time in terms of looking at gender roles. Now, before I describe these three utopian societies, I want to talk about what is a utopian society. A utopian society is a society that is trying to create a perfect community. We usually describe the word utopia as meaning perfection in America. So a utopian society is an experimental society where people are living differently than the mainstream society, and they truly believe that they are going to lead the way in setting up a perfect place to live. And many times they believe they are going to be a model for the rest of the world to follow. So in American history, there have been many utopian societies. None of them have lasted more than a few generations. Although I will say the Shakers did last longer than that, but they are very, very small in numbers. So I'm going to go back to the 1700s, and we're going to look at one of the earliest utopian societies in American history, the Shaker community, which is also a religion, the Shaker Church, Shaker religion. And this is interesting because it was founded by a woman named Mother Ann Lee. This is a marker that was set up to honor Mother Ann Lee. Mother Ann Lee was actually an immigrant from England who came to the American colonies in the 1700s. And around 1776, she founded a new community known as the Shakers. Now, why did she found this religion? Well, the millennium was coming. It was coming up on the year 1800. And Mother Ann Lee and her followers believed that this was a time for Americans to renounce their sins, because they believed that if people did not stop sinning by the year 1800, that maybe God would come back and end the world. And so they wanted to set an example of how a good Christian should live, and they were going to set up this perfect community known as the Shaker community. The Shakers have some very unique ideas that in some instances are ahead of their time, especially their view of women. So one of the things the Shakers believed was that both genders, men and women, can serve as elders in their religion. They viewed men and women as equal in God's eyes. Therefore, men and women can be leaders in the Shaker religion. That was really ahead of its time in the 1700s. Now, the Shakers also rejected materialism. They lived their life very simply. So they dressed plainly, their houses were plain, everything was simple, nothing for decoration. They didn't wear jewelry, they didn't decorate their houses because none of that was important. So the way that they dressed was pretty much all alike. The women wore the same simple dress. The men wore dark trousers and white shirt and straw hat, and everybody pretty much dressed alike because it didn't matter how you looked. Material things don't matter. One of the legacies of the Shaker community is their furniture style and their architecture. So I want to show you some pictures. Shaker architecture still exists in the United States today. It is popular in different parts of the U.S., and it's very plain type of architecture. This is a Shaker village in Kentucky. you'll notice the house is a box. There's no decoration on the outside of the house. There's no carvings. There aren't any different colors. It's a plain box with some windows and a door. That's a Shaker style architecture. And it was popular in different areas of the US for a long time. You'll still see Shaker architecture in the United States. Now, inside the homes was very plain. This is a photograph I got from Creative Commons. It's an actual Shaker museum. This is what the inside of a Shaker home looked like in the 1700s, 1800s. Shaker furniture is utilitarian. It's only for use. It's not decorated. There are no carvings in it. So a Shaker chair is a wooden chair with no carvings, no decoration, nothing fancy. A Shaker table, just a plain wooden table. So Shaker furniture is just for use. It's very plain. Now, if you look in this room, not much decoration, right? Do you see a rug on the floor? Do you see curtains on the window? Nope. Shaker architecture has no ornamentation inside their homes. No curtains on the window, because that's not necessary. No rug on the floor, because that's not necessary. They're not decorating their homes. You won't see a picture on the wall. You won't see paintings. Everything is plain. This is still a type of style that some people like. You can go online and buy Shaker style furniture today. That's one of the legacies of the Shaker religion, is how plain they lived, and you still see Shaker architecture and Shaker furniture. So that was one of the things they believed in, was living very plainly. Now, another unique thing about the Shakers is they believed in living celibate. In other words, they did not engage in sexual intercourse. If you became a Shaker, you took a vow of celibacy. Even if you were married, you agreed you would no longer engage in sexual intercourse. Now, why? Why did the Shakers advocate celibacy? Well, Mother Ann Lee knew that the most dangerous thing for women to do in this time period was get pregnant. Remember, I mentioned that in an earlier video. It was very dangerous for women to get pregnant in the 1700s and 1800s because oftentimes women did not survive childbirth, or they died after childbirth from infections, hemorrhaging. So Mother Ann Lee advocated celibacy to relieve women of the pain and danger of childbirth. So as you can imagine, women were twice as likely to join the Shaker church than men. And many of the women who joined the Shaker religion were between the ages of 20 and 45, which is childbearing age. So many women feared childbirth, and that's why many of them joined the Shaker church, because if you join the Shaker church, you have a reason to not have to get pregnant, because you take a vow of celibacy.